Hitler Rally, 1937. No gathering in human history had assembled as many people. Women's Wrestling, 1954. Secret Societies in Latin America, 1920. In 19th century Europe, a wife could be sent to a psychiatric hospital for treatment of hysteria for the following reasons: if a woman argues with her husband and has a different opinion, if a woman reads a lot, if a woman is dissatisfied with her marriage, if a woman refuses her husband, if a woman is deeply interested in science, if a woman doesn't want to have children. An Iraqi man celebrates on top of a burning American Army Hummer in northern Baghdad, Iraq, 2004. Police protect a group of black swimmers and desegregation supporters from an angry mob, Florida, 1964. Armor of Ferdinand I, Holy Roman Emperor, 16th century. Russian Imperial Army soldiers in gas masks, WWI. The Primwaddle twins. When the husband found out his wife gave birth to twins, he was horrified and left the family. After this betrayal, Mrs. Primwaddle hated men, but unfortunately, the twins were boys. She decided to act as though her boys were girls. The children believed they were girls until the age of 19. Upon learning the truth, they decided they would not tolerate it anymore. They strangled their mother with a scarf and gouged out her eyes. She was 11 when WWI began, 36 when WWT began, 74 when Star Wars was released, and 116 when COVID-19 began. Her name is Kane Tanaka, and she was the oldest living person on Earth. She lived until 2022. A firefighter looks towards the heavily damaged Belgrade's tallest building, NATO bombing, April 1999. Between the start of the war and August 1941, Hitler exterminated about 100,000 Germans with mental and physical disabilities. A surviving concentration camp prisoner cries next to the charred corpse of a friend who was burned with flamethrowers by guards during an escape attempt, World War II. English model Jean Shrimpton was one of the first to dare appear in public in a dress above the knee. In the summer of 1965, she arrived at the Melbourne races in such an outfit, causing a true sensation. In Texas, a man was killed by a bullet that was shot at him 20 years ago. In 1883, Henry Ziegland was shot at but survived. The bullet only scratched his head and got stuck in a tree. 20 years later, Ziegland decided to remove the tree. By then, it had grown large, so he decided to blow it up with dynamite. The explosion pushed the bullet out of the tree, and it hit Ziegland in the head, killing him instantly. A worker accidentally left a broom and bag near the statue of Supreme Leader Kim Il-sung. If the culprit had been found, they would have faced harsh punishment or even death. North Korea. Making masks for French soldiers, veterans of the First World War with disfigured faces, 1918. A family portrait of a couple from the Netherlands, 1929, copy. In 1954, American Don Pointer introduced whiskey-flavored toothpaste. With 3% alcohol content, it quickly gained popularity among liquor enthusiasts. Robert Corder during the testing of his invention, a jetpack, USA, 1969. In the US, in the 1800s, the side saddle was created so women could ride decently, which was also often recommended for treating hysteria. Lena Medina, the youngest mother in medical history, gave birth at the age of 5. The Hunter brothers inspect the engine during their 23-day non-stop flight, 1930. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated a few months before the creation of the Secret Service to protect the president and other high-ranking officials. Ironically, the bill to create the service was on Lincoln's desk. HMS Hermione's Shipcat convoy had his own hammock. He died with 87 crew members when the ship was torpedoed on June 16, 1942. During the filming of Fort Apache, many scenes required specific weather conditions, and director John Ford paid a Navajo medicine man to give him weather forecasts. Several days they were accurate, but one day the medicine man said he couldn't predict anymore. When asked why, he said that an actor had taken his radio receiver. The head of an extinct dodo bird kept in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. This is the only preserved head of the extinct animal. The first case of disqualification of an athlete for doping occurred in 1968. That year, alcohol was found in the blood of pentathlete Hans-Gunnar Lilienthal. The longest coma lasted 42 years, an American woman who became known for spending almost half a century in a coma, Eduarda O'Bara. Republicans were inspired by abstractionism and surrealism. They created special torture chambers for captured Francoists during the Spanish Civil War. These rooms contained beds with a 20-degree incline, floors with randomly placed bricks, and paintings on the walls. Torture also included watching the film Un Chien Andalou. 8-year-old Christian accepts the flag during the memorial service for his father, who was killed on patrol in Iraq just a few weeks before he was due to return home. Brigitte Bardot became one of the brightest female icons of the 20th century, and at the World's Fair in the Vatican Pavilion, her photo was displayed as a symbol of sin. The Great Ohio River flood of January 1937 submerged 70% of Louisville, rendering thousands homeless. Yet, one surreal photograph remains from the devastation: a horse lodged high in a tree. John the Chimpanzee Croupier, Cosmos Casino, Russia, 1990s. John started as an entertainer and later became a croupier, spinning the roulette wheel with a cognac and a cigarette, entertaining guests. Working in the casino led to illnesses and addictions. Prisoners' shoes left at the site of the Butugachag camp in Kolyma, Russia, 1989. A young woman showing the awful effects of radiation poisoning. Dancing Man, a photo taken on August 15, 1945 in Sydney, Australia. A man is seen dancing in the street out of joy upon hearing the news that World War II has ended. Gangster Clyde Barrow once wrote a letter to Henry Ford expressing admiration for the V8 model and promising to only steal Fords. National Headstand Week, USA, 1940. Children's Carnival against child beating with slogans "Down with the Belt" and "No Place for the Whip," USSR, 1930. In the Victorian era, hair became an important part of a woman's appearance, reflecting her status and femininity. Women never cut their hair, 19th century. A World War I veteran begs for alms on a Berlin street, 1923. The president of France, Paul Doumer, lights the eternal flame at the tomb of the unknown soldier. He himself lost all 4 of his sons in World War I. Male chastity belt, 16th century. During the settlement of the western regions of North America, there were mostly men living there. In the photo, 4 men from Montana posted a notice on their house saying they were looking for wives. Early 20th century. A French soldier writes a letter during a break between the battles of the Verdun meat grinder, 1916. Despite strong pressure from the Catholic Church, Ireland allowed the free sale of contraceptives, 1978. The Church believed that sex was only justified for procreation. At the start of a combined dog and women's race, USA, 1927. A Swedish weightlifter celebrates after successfully lifting the weight at the Olympics, Montreal, 1976. A eunuch guarding a harem, Tunisia, 1931. A crowd of children runs to a candy store on the day the government rationing of sweets ended, UK, 1953. A vampire hunting kit, 19th century. Reporters watch a nuclear test during Operation Plum Bob, USA, 1957, the largest and most controversial nuclear series on US soil. 29 bombs detonated. A white dove lands on Fidel Castro's shoulder during his first televised address to the citizens of Cuba and stays there for the entire 2-hour speech, Havana, 1959. In 1915, a Mexican student named Wenceslao Moguel survived 9 gunshot wounds during a firing squad execution in the Revolution. At night, he crawled to a church where he received help. A South Vietnamese widow weeps as the bell at a Buddhist pagoda in Saigon tolls the fire, January 28, 1973. The United States began a sharp reduction in its troops in the country. The director of the Belgrade Zoo persuades a runaway chimpanzee named Sammy to return to the zoo, 1988. Children in bomb shield hats. Headphones and protection from biting their tongues, Sydney, 1942. The wedding of Freddie Mercury's parents, 1946. Loading a 5-Enderby hard drive into a plane, 1956. This massive IBM unit weighed over a ton. German companies supplying the Third Reich during WTI. A gay wedding organized in 1921 by the young party member of the Baltic Fleet, Afanasy Schauer. Schauer hoped for praise and rewards from his superiors and gathered about 100 gay men, whom he then tried to accuse of a counter-revolutionary conspiracy, Soviet Union. It is believed that if a person recognizes at least 25 historical figures depicted in this picture, they are already sufficiently educated. People standing on couches, tables, and chairs to see the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, officially ending World War I, 1919. Soldiers of the Potomac Army fight over a bottle of wine during the Civil War, Virginia, 1863. A grandmother sees punks for the first time in her life, London, 1982. The Great Depression, USA, 1930s. I have 3 trades. I speak 3 languages. I fought 3 years in the war. I have 3 children and I have been unemployed for 3 months, but I am only looking for one job. Louise Bundy, mother of serial killer Ted Bundy, talks to him on the phone minutes before his execution. "You will always be my precious son. A mother is always a mother. We need after." Photo related to HIV awareness by the CDC Historical Archives that was removed by Trump. Thanks. In the photo, the 1st German Division of Sex Intelligence during World War II, they were selected based on their appearance. Soviet Air Force bombing of Helsinki, Finland, 1939, Winter War. In 1958, China declared war on sparrows. Millions of birds were exhausted to death. The result? A catastrophic famine the following year. With no birds to eat the caterpillars, the pests devoured all the crops. In 1923, jockey Frank Hayes won a race at Belmont Park in New York despite being dead. He suffered a heart attack mid-race but remained in the saddle until the end. In case of war, evacuate the children, cover the windows, kill the cat. After the declaration of war in September 1939, the British killed over 750,000 pets, fearing there would be nothing to feed them. In 1925, a Belgian merchant, unable to sell his dresses, draped his entire house with them overnight. The police arrived, the town watched, and the dresses quickly sold out. Winston Churchill in Boer War captivity, standing on the right, South African Republic, 1899. The first football kit of FC Barcelona, 1899. A hippie wedding, 1965. Women from North and South Vietnam, survivors of the war, witnessed the reunification of their country, 1975. A bra model, fashionable in the 40s and 50s. A pie eating contest, 1937. Ladies invite their suitors to the white dance, century-old etiquette, 1900. Back in the 15th century, moose were used as mounts in the Swedish army. Meanwhile, in Russia, a decree banned riding moose in cities because they kept knocking people over. Glimpse into Afghanistan's infrastructure and culture, mid-20th century. Workers lay a wooden water pipe east of Lewiston, Idaho, 1891. A Gentleman's Set, 1640. Andrew Card informs U.S. President George Bush of the terrorist attack, interrupting his reading to school children in Sarasota, Florida, September 11, 2001. Bulldozers demolish illegally built huts by the poor, USA, during the Great Depression. Bulgarian peasants using an elephant for field work, 1900. In 1974, Pharaoh Rameses II was issued a real Egyptian passport so that his 3,000-year-old mummy could be legally transported to Paris for restoration. According to the women of the Badi tribe in Ethiopia, the most beautiful man is the one with the biggest belly. Ethiopia, 2013. A seller of intimate wigs. New York, 1860. Prostitutes would remove hair from intimate areas to avoid pubic lice. Accessories like these helped them hide venereal diseases from clients. The first pubic wigs appeared for sale in the 1450s. 20-year-old Jean Calment, born in 1875, pressing a key on a computer keyboard in France shortly before the year 2000. A former Wehrmacht soldier begging. The sign reads, "No eyes, no hands." Germany, 1946. Freed slaves aboard HMS Daphne, 1868. A man sentenced to death in a gas chamber. The Westinghouse Electric Company logo on his forehead, USA, 1939. Kate Camberley rescued over 600 animals since 1943. She turned her home into a dog shelter and fought officials to protect her animals. Madrid, Spain, 1960s. Bundles and bags with personal belongings on the streets of the Krakow ghetto after the remaining inhabitants were sent to Auschwitz, March 1943. They were ordered to leave their things. They would no longer need them. Child labor remained a serious issue well into the 20th century, and children often worked in various industries in the USA. A girl from a cotton spinning factory, 1908. If this video brought a smile, or maybe even some anger, share your opinion in the comments. Stay locked in for the upcoming part. Remember to smash that like button and subscribe for more. Goodbye.